Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
So at the direction of yourself, earlier this year, village staff began to participate in the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus webinar regarding the 2020 Census Peer Advisory Network. This group consists of the U.S. Census Bureau, the State Census Office, and the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. The initiative ahead of us is the 2020 census. As we know, the census is mandated by the Constitution. The census ensures fair representation as redistricting and legislative seats are impacted by population shifts and counts. And based on these counts, federal funds and grants to support states, counties, and communities are received. These are the funds over the next 10 years that will help to build roads, schools, parks, improve health care, and fund just about every other function of government. The ask is for our community to form a grassroots effort to help communicate the importance of participating in the 2020 census. And our group consists of entities in the Vernon Hills area. The Village of Vernon Hills is registered as the contact with the U.S. Census Bureau, and our team includes Dr. Brian Watkins, who is here tonight, and he's going to be responsible for oversight, direction, and community outreach. Chief Chuck Smith from the Countryside Fire Protection District, Mr. Daniel Dietich, State Representative, Mr. David Archer, Cook Memorial Library, Mr. Jeff Bougeroux, Vernon Hills Park District, Mr. Jonathan Altenberg, Vernon Township, Ms. Julie Simpson from Lake County Government, Ms. Kathleen O'Connor, Libertyville Township, Mr. Matt Jacobs, Hawthorne District 73, Chief Pat Crease, Vernon Hills Police Department, Mr. Peter Hannigan, Hawthorne District 73, Ms. Robin Cleek, Hawthorne District 73, and Mr. Scott Adams, representing the GLMV Chamber of Commerce and the business community. The reason we're assembling and concerned for Illinois and all states is there is a lack of understanding of the importance of the census. There is a fear by certain communities to provide information, and ultimately the potential for a lack of participation that will affect us all. Other issues include a national discussion of whether citizenship should have been a question on the census, as well as increased media coverage of ICE activity. We have to be honest, those two impacts right there do affect our community. What is being asked of Vernon Hills is for us to form a complete count committee, which includes entities with community knowledge, the ability to cooperate, an existing community trust, and communications resources with the goal of encouraging full participation. I believe by the members that we have selected, members on this team, we will achieve that. The village has been hosting meetings with our complete count committee members. We've had our federal liaison here on site, and we have also created a resource page on our village website to share. So if you look at our page, there's a new icon added on the top. You can click on that. And on the left, you will see the information that's being provided us by the U.S. Census Bureau, as well as a easy-to-read form created by staff that talks about what a census is and how it impacts us all. I encourage everyone to check out this information to familiarize and pass it on to anybody that you think that would benefit from receiving it. We have begun sharing content with our Complete Count Committee members and for them to familiarize how communication and messaging for census awareness will occur. Important notes to include: 2020 will be the first year people will be asked to participate online. Persons not responsive to online participation will be sent a questionnaire by mail in spring. And as of April 1, 2020, when Census Day approaches, for people to know that if they are not responsive, they can expect Field Census Bureau personnel to begin visiting households in May through July in our neighborhoods. The participation rate in 2010 for Vernon Hills was 83%. Our goal for 2020 is obviously 100%. We hope this complete count committee concept and the Greater Vernon Hills team will help achieve that. We can expect to see messaging on village communications platforms, all of our platforms, from now through July of 2020. At this time, I would like to invite our committee chair, Dr. Watkins, up to talk about where we're at and answer any questions. His introduction, many of you may recognize him when Chief Mark Fleschauer at the time was introducing the concept of career development. One of the pieces missing was a formal education component, and Dr. Brian Watkins is responsible for probably, I would say 6, if not half, the department obtaining master's degrees, so we do appreciate that. But he's also an expert in organizational management. When I was at the sheriff's office, he was used for community engagement, community outreach, and conducting surveys of specific populations. I would I also consider him a friend, and I think he's the ideal partner and a person to represent this committee. So, Dr. Watkins, take it away and tell us what you think.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Welcome.
Members of the board. I feel like almost like this gentleman, Mike, who just got brought on as a chair. Works pretty quickly around here. I just
Very
asked
quick.
one question about the census, and like, boom, I'm here. So, but yes, exactly. But very excited. First of all, I'd like to recognize the three individuals I think who really have brought this committee together. So obviously, Village Manager Mark Fleischhauer, John Petrillo, your assistant village manager, and also Jen Haverin, who is a staff member of yours, who really, I consider her the shepherd, really kind of keeps us all together and pulls everything together. So I'd like to at least recognize those individuals, that they're really helping to really steer this committee and make the work a lot easier, if you will. I'm very excited about the fact that we're formulating this committee. You heard Mr. Petrillo mention the members and the entities within our community who are part of this group. I would say that there's still a little room for a couple more, maybe some members from the clergy, to really make sure that we get the word out, because the bottom line is, as John had mentioned, is that we need to figure out how to get communication out to each and every citizen here to make sure they understand that being counted is important to all of the services that are offered in this community, that the federal funds are very important. We also had a representative from the U.S. Census Bureau, Kamal Solowitz. He came and spoke with us last week and talked about our charge and what we could expect. One of the things I thought was very important was he mentioned that in the last census that Vernon Hills had about an 83% count, and that was an excellent number, and so we hope to improve upon that. Another thing he did point out was that our committee is well ahead of schedule in our formation, the breadth and depth of the members on the committee, the fact that we're having some conversations about some of our strategy already, and of course the communication piece he thought was very impressive thus far in our infancy, if you will. So I think that's an important piece that we'll continue to do as we go along. And I think that, for me, I'm very excited to really be a part of this committee. I'm impressed by the dedicated professionals that we have in this community who want to be a part of this. They recognize the importance of really helping us to move forward, to make sure that we have a very strong and accurate count for our community. And I'd just like to just wrap up by just saying I'd like to thank all the members who are serving on the committee and all the new members we may be able to add. And thank all of you for your support as we move forward to make sure that we have a very strong count in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. I can reflect back when we did a couple of special censuses for our town, because population had gone up pretty significantly, and we then submitted it to the state. And, I think in that instance, it was to get additional monies from the personal income tax. So maybe that's a ray of sunshine for all the villages across the state. If your population's gone up, of course your population's gone down, then that's the opposite effect. But I can remember we did that a couple of times over the years. So yeah, it's very important. Yeah, get the census and find out how many there are of us.
Yeah, true, and alleviate that fear.
Yeah.
So that's really what I think the community needs to make sure that we get that out to everyone.
Trustee Apponek.
I just had a question for John, perhaps you, or possibly a suggestion. I saw on the website that link that you had. I didn't see anything in that quick look if there was anything in foreign languages. And I don't know if there's a link to a government site that already has that. I would imagine there is.
There is, and it's a great question, sir. So the way it was explained to us is we were asked to kind of like declare, self-identify what languages we wanted content in, and then to make this easy, everything is supposed to become in a digital form, and then we share it with all the complete count committee members, and they can decide. So the example given is if you're a school and you have a predominantly Hispanic population, they want the content delivered in a Hispanic or written in that language, print it out, and they could put it in a backpack if that's the way they feel communication is best served. Because let's be honest, when we try to communicate, as we said, with Blackboard Connect CTY, one of the challenges we have is not everybody has their mobile device with them, and maybe not everybody has access to the internet, even in Vernon Hills. So yes, we had to self-identify what languages we asked for. And initially, as we were thinking about it, the first three that came to our mind were obviously English, Spanish, Polish, and Russian, were the languages that we asked. And so, interestingly, our rep said he believes he can get 3 of those. So we're hoping that he gets all of them. And but yes, and so we would get that content, and then we would make it available on. If you look on the left, we would put it there as a link, and then the other committee members could download it and distribute it how they see fit. And that was like one of the I guess keys to this is it's ideal for the school district who probably knows their stakeholders much better than John Petrillo does. Vernon Hills is the hub. We'll receive all this information, and then we'll throw it out to everybody. So another example given is the townships said they feel they're ideal for servicing the seniors as people may come in for assistance. So like my mother-in-law, I don't believe she has internet. I know she doesn't have a mobile phone, but they will have it in her language and be able to give it to her. So if there are other languages that you feel are appropriate for Vernon Hills, if anybody would like to communicate with us, please let us know. But those were the 4 that we identified.
Yeah, right off the bat, we thought Chinese, Korean,
Absolutely, I'm listening.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Japanese.
What was the for the mother-in-law, Gaelic?
My mother-in-law, Joan.
Your wife's Irish.
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
That'd be kind of funny. Okay, we're going to put it in Gaelic,
Sure.
you know. And in any event, okay, doctor, thank you.
So,
Whoop.
so was the intent of this, though, for members of the community to go to learn about it, or was
This
it
is for
really
members
more?
of the community, but the way that we're going to be communicating is all through this website. So
Right.
it's, again, the way it's been explained to us is we are the hub. The content is going to start coming this month in a digital format. And as our team is set up, whatever we received, as Dr. Watkins said, Jen is the recipient of all communications. She'll get it. She has an email list, and she'll send it out to all the stakeholders.
So I'd imagine the landing page for this really should just be a listing of all the languages and select your language to.
And again, I hope that we're able to achieve that. One of the statements he made is this year, unlike last decade, there is less money for this, and that's why one of the ask is for these committees to form to help spread the word. So I hope that the languages we asked for are the content is available. But I will definitely put that request in, sir.
Okay,